Now that we have gone through the most common form elements, let's take a moment to recap on something we learned earlier in the course, modifiers. Only this time, we're going to be looking at the modifiers that are related to form elements. Remember the lazy modifier. This modifier is used to specify when the vmodel directive should synchronize form elements with their associated data properties. By default, this will happen when the input event is fired, meaning every time we type a character into a text input, for example. If the lazy modifier is specified, the change event will be used instead, meaning that the synchronization will happen when form elements lose focus. Let's take a brief moment to apply the lazy modifier to the text area. So let's find it up here. And what I have to do is to simply add .lazy to the vmodel directive. Let's go to the browser. And typing something into the text area does not immediately update the data property anymore. In comparison, if I enter something into the text inputs, at the top, the data property updates for every character. And perhaps you noticed that immediately after the content text area lost its focus, the value of the text area was synchronized to the data property. Next, we have the trim modifier, which removes any leading or trailing spaces from the value. If I enter some spaces into the text area, then we'll see that these spaces are included in the value that is synchronized to the data property. Let's add the trim modifier to the text area to prevent this from happening, and I'll also add it to the text input, just for good measure. So let's add it to the text input first, .trim, and then to the text area. And notice how I changed two modifiers with the vmodel directive for the text area, being the lazy and trim modifiers. And if I do the same test as before, we should no longer see any spaces. So let's try it out. And let's make it lose its focus. Select the value, and now you can see no spaces anymore. Last, we have the number modifier. Since we don't have any inputs where we can enter numbers, I'm not going to show that to you. Besides, you have already seen this in action earlier in the course. But basically, the modifier is used as all other modifiers, and it's the equivalent of invoking JavaScript's parseInt function. Vue just does this automatically when combined with the vmodel directive. And that was a quick recap on the modifiers that are useful when working with forms.